try that one, see if you can factor that one. Trying to factor. So we're here in section 4.4. Easy trinomials. So we want to make the diamond thing. We're thinking about multiply and add. So looking for two numbers that multiply to be 1/49th, add to be 2/7. So what times what? What multiplies to be 1/49th? How can you have two fractions multiply to be 1/49? Yeah. Yeah, 1/7, 1/7, huh? That'll multiply to be 1/49th and add to be 2/7, won't they? So there we go. So we just do the two parentheses, x is in the front, plus 1/7. Everything's positive on this one, huh? There's no negatives or anything. Now, if you, really this is a fine answer. Math Excel will take it. But on the test we take, the next test we take multiple choice, it won't look that way. You know, when it's the same thing twice, identical twins like that, those are exactly the same, what do? You just write one of them with 2 power. Exactly. That's how you'll see it on the test. Yeah. Math Excel will take it either way. Is that good? Making sense so far? Just saying what multiplies to be the back number, adds to be the middle? Yeah, so number 6 is a little tricky. They want me to factor that. Now, it's all out of order, isn't it? Can you reorder it first off? Can you put it in the right order, highest power on down to lowest? Remember when you move things around, take their sign with them. So whatever sign's in front of them, that's their baby, so to speak. You take your baby with you, so take that with it when you move them. So in other words, that minus that's in front of the x squared, that's going to go with him, wherever he may go. The plus that's in front of the x, that's his baby. And what's in front of the 12? Nothing, which means plus, huh? So as you move them around, take the signs in front of them with them. That's their baby. It always goes with them. So so we get minus x squared plus x plus 12. That good on the reorder? Now that we've reordered, we notice a problem. Negative in the front. Yeah, you don't want negative in the front. Negative in the front is a pain. So when there's negative in the front, do a GCF -1 with one big parenthesis, all signs change. So when there's a negative in front, you got to factor out a GCF with one big parenthesis. Then we'll go to the two parentheses later in another step. But first off, just the one big parenthesis, the -1, one big parenthesis, and all these signs will change. So negative x squared will become regular x squared, positive x will become negative x, and positive 12 will become negative 12. Let me pause there and let you digest that for a minute. Do you see what I did there? So this one's got some extra tricks. It's pretty tricky, really, for an easier trinomial. So do you see how that's right? Like, what I mean is, if I was to take that -1 and multiply it, do you see how it really would go back to this? Right? -1 times x squared would go back. Negative times negative would go back. Negative times negative would go back to plus 12. So it's right, huh? Is that good? So that's what you always do when you have a negative in the front. So first off, we reordered it, and then we saw the negative in the front, so we took out the GCF of -1, and all the signs changed. Now, just leave that -1 in the front. It will be part of the final answer. X's, and now just go ahead and do what we normally do. You know, do the diamond, and you're saying what multiplies to be -12. Add what number's in the middle there? And -1, huh? So what multiplies to be -12? Adds, I'll let you think. So what times what is -12? 3 and 4, either order, huh? Yeah, but what signs? Remember how the sign goes? The sign in the bottom always goes on the bigger. Bottom bigger. Yeah, there we go. BB, bottom bigger. So bottom goes on the bigger. So minus 4 plus 3. Minus. So you could, I'll say, or you could have the minus 1 in the front. You could put the x minus 4 first. It doesn't matter what order. Either one of those is good. But the 4 has to be the negative in front of him, wherever he is. And the 3 has to be the positive, wherever he is. So the order doesn't matter, but the signs do matter, huh? And you got to have that negative 1 in the front when you type in the answer. Or just a negative sign is fine. Same thing. Is that good on that? Questions I can answer. So we had to reorder, then we had a negative in the front, so we had to take out a negative 1 and all the signs change, and then we just did the regular from there. Okay, so try that one. Just giving you a little bit bigger powers. I bet you can figure that out without too much trouble. Okay, so we do the what multiplies to be minus 12, adds to be what numbers in the middle? Plus 1 again. And we do our diamond, and what multiplies to be negative 12, adds to be plus 1. So what times what is 12? 3 and 4 again, huh? 4 and 3, 3 and 4. And now, remember, the sign on the bottom goes on the bigger. Bottom bigger. So plus 4 minus 3. Right? Because minus 3 plus 4 is plus 1 and multiplies to be negative 12. So then we do our two parentheses. Now, what's going to go? We have to have the front times the front, making, this time, w to the 4th. So what am I going to put in the front? How can you have two w things timesing to be w to the 4th? W2, w squared, huh? Because the powers add? Yeah, that's the only difference. The rest of it's right. Just w squared's in the front. And then the minus 3 and the plus 4, or vice versa. You could swap the order. It doesn't matter. And we're done. We good? Questions I can answer? So let's try that one. Just mainly focus on the numbers. You know, do what we've been doing for the numbers on that one. So what multiplies to be 40, adds to be 13. We'll do the two things here. Yeah. Yeah, 8 and 5, huh? You can use a calculator if you're rusty on some of those times tables. So 8 and 5, and everything's positive on this one, huh? There's no negative signs anywhere. So, okay, so let's put down the two parentheses. And now, let me help with, so we got the numbers really, we know it's 8 and 5, but let me help with the letters. Basically, if you have, I bet you can figure it out, if you have r squared in the front, then you got to have r and r in the front, because front times front. And then if you have d squared in the back, then what do you have to have? D's in the back, huh? Yeah, so that's all. And then just put in the numbers. So the plus 8d and plus 5d, or vice versa, the order doesn't matter. Does that make sense? I just wanted to show you one with the multiple letters. So just r squared in the front, r's in the front of each parenthesis, d squared in the back, d's in the back of each parenthesis. All right. Okay, so try that one. So got to do some stuff here, right? Got to reorder and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so when there's a minus in the front, so first off we reorder, and when you reorder, you got to take whatever sign's in front of them, nothing's in front of the 39, which means plus. Whatever sign's in front of them, that's their baby, so to speak. Take that with them wherever they go. So you reorder, highest power down to lowest, and then when we see a negative in the front, we never can leave that. Whenever we see the negative, we have to do negative 1. You have to do the one big parenthesis step, and then the next one will be the 2. But you have to do the one big because the signs will change, and you got to see the new signs before you can then do the diamond and find the 2. You know, it's going to be different signs. So what will the signs be? They're all switched, huh? So negative x squared will become regular, positive, normal x squared. Negative 10x will become plus 10x, and plus 39 minus 39. They all switch. And you can see it's right, because if that minus 1 multiplied through, it would go back now, wouldn't it? See how it's actually true? The minus 1 times x squared would go back to minus 1 times plus 10 would go back to minus 10, minus 1 times minus 39 would go back to plus 39. See how it's all true and good and right? Okay. And now what do we do from there? Now we do our diamond thing. So then what multiplies and adds? So what multiplies to be minus 39? Adds to be plus 10. So what times what is 39? 3 and 13, huh? Choose calculators if you're rusty on those. And then remember, bottom bigger. BB, bottom bigger. So plus 13 minus 3, that makes plus 10, and multiplies to be negative 39. So there it is, x minus 3, x plus 13. Either order, you could swap them. As long as the 3 is the negative and the 13 is the positive. And that minus 1 in the front is part of the answer. There we go. Is that good? Any questions I can answer on that one? Okay. You want to try that one? Okay, so two numbers that multiply and add. So what multiplies to be minus 60? Adds to be minus 4?
6 and negative 10.
Yeah, 6 and 10 are our numbers, huh? 6 and 10 can multiply to be 60 and do the 4. Now, how do the signs go? Sign on the bottom goes on the bigger, right? Bottom bigger, so it goes on the 10. So plus 6 minus 10, that makes minus 4, and they multiply to be negative 60. So we're good there. So now we just go right to our two parentheses. How do you make x to the 6th?
3.
X to the 3rd power, huh? X to the 3rd power on both of those. And then the 6 and the minus 10. Plus 6. Minus 10. There we go. Either you could swap the order. We good with all that? Questions I can answer there? Questions? We good? Miss Miranda, you good?
I'm just confused because I know how you got the x to the 3rd.
Right.
But
Why would it be x 3rd in the middle?
yeah, what about the x? I'm trying to figure out like
How the middle
do
comes about.
reverse, how does the 4x 3rd come about?
Yeah, exactly. Let's check it. That's a good question. Let's check it and show how it actually works. Yeah. So this guy would go to both. X to the 3rd times x to the 3rd. Remember, powers add. So it'd be x to the 6th minus 10x to the 3rd, right? This guy and that guy multiplied.
Okay.
Good. So he's done. He went to both. And now this guy will go to both. Right? First to both, second to both. Remember? So this would be plus 6x cubed. And then plus 6 times minus 10 minus 60. And then what will those two make in the middle?
Oh, okay.
Minus 4x cubed.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense now.
Good. Good, all right. Come in where we have to do it all. So remember mixture from our last exam? We did the mixture ones. So let's try to do a mixture. Let me let you start. See how much you remember, and then I'll jump in and finish for the mixture. And that we put the percentages in the bottoms and the amounts in the top. Remember that? And so the percentages are what? 18% and 9 and the 11%. And now, so those are the percentages, right? Remember that? And then there's one other number that they're giving me. 360 pound. Now, where's that 360 go? Yeah, it's saying it's the 11%, exactly. So it goes over the 11%, huh? And what goes in the blanks above the 18% and the 9%? Yeah, that's my x and my y. So there's that. Now, if we have two letters, remember we need two equations. So how do we get our first equation? There's got to get two of them. How do we get our first one? Do you remember? Yeah, the tops, huh? You just go right across the top. So the first equation is only the tops, x plus y, 360. And then remember how we get the second equation? Yeah, let me get a different color here. You multiply those two, multiply and multiply. You multiply top and bottom. So that's 18. And remember, we don't even need to change them to decimals, huh? Since they're all decimals on both sides, we could just get rid of it by multiplying by 100, so we can just skip the whole thing. Right? If they were all decimals, I could then multiply through by 100 and get rid of all the decimals anyway. So let's just skip it. Remember that by coming back a little bit? Can you take it from there now? So we have our two equations now. Now see what you remember about solving them. Remember what you got to do? Yeah, there's two ways. You can do whichever way you want. You can get x alone or y alone in the top equation, plug into the bottom, or you can make them opposites. We learned two different ways. Either way is good. Most people like the get x alone thing, so I ended up doing that. So you can just get x alone in the top equation and plug it into the bottom. You know what I mean? Just grab this y and jump it over. So that'll mean x is 360 minus y. And then take that and plug it in for x right there. See what I'm doing there? So I got x alone in the top equation by jumping the y. Remember when something jumps to the other side of the equal sign, it changes signs. That's why that x equals 360 minus y. Plug that in for x. And we get 18 times 360 minus y plus 9y. What? Calculator 360?
3960.
3960? Thank you. On that, these two multiply. So we get to there. And now we can solve for y. Just multiply that 18 through. 18 times 360, somebody have that number? Thank you. 6480 minus 18y. Oops, getting a little squiggly there. Oops. Minus 18y plus 9y. 3960. Okay, and so now minus 18y and plus 9y. Yeah, they're like terms, so it'd be 6480 minus 9y. Those two together make minus 9y, don't they? Oops, I'm reversing numbers. Got a little dyslexia there. 3960. Okay, and so we got to get y alone. So to finish getting y alone, subtract 6480 from both sides. And for minus 2480 and 2520. Thank you. Minus 2520. Last step. Am I racing ahead? You guys okay? Remember all this stuff? Last step is just to divide by the minus 9. And y equals 280. Thank you. 280. How do we, so we got y. That's why y is 280. How do we get x? Yeah, plug it in or subtract, because there's 360 total pounds, huh? So you could just take 3, just bring it up here. 360 minus 280. Just bring it on up. This is minus 2, was that 80? So x must be 80. Or you could have just plugged right in there. Same thing, y 280. 360 minus 280, x would be 80. Either way, x is 80. So we found out how many pounds of the cornmeal. I don't know. Which one was the cornmeal? Oh, cornmeal is the 9%. It's like they reversed them. They're trying to trick me. Cornmeal is the 9%. Which one's the 9%, x or y? The y. So they actually want the y first. See what I mean by they're reversing it? They're trying to trick us. They want the y first, and then comes the soybean. The soybean up here is the 18%. That's the x. That's the 80. So they want the 280 and then the 80. So it's just to keep you refreshed and remembering those mixture problems. Is that good? I won't do 13 and 14 are domain. Those will be pretty easy for you, I think, on that. We better move on. I want to get onto the hard trinomials and do a good job on those. So let me stop there.